Greetings, this is another reader. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you my Stephen King collection. I don't have too many books, but I have enough to show them to you. So let's get started. The first book I want to show you is this Penguin Reader's edition of Misery. It's the only Stephen King book I own in English, and it's an adapted version. It's level 6. Advanced with 3,000 headwords. I bought this back when I was still at school learning English. And Stephen King novels, they weren't in shops everywhere at the time. It's about a writer who got himself into a car crash, and he's a big fan. A nurse found him, but then he started to torture him, literally. Great novel, and I want myself a full edition. The next book I want to show you is on writing. This very small edition. I bought this while I was still at school. I wanted to get myself a book about writing, and I found this. The first half is literally Stephen King's biography. He tells about his life. In the second half he tells you how to write a book. To be honest, it feels very personal. When you read this, you don't feel like you're reading a book. You feel like Stephen King is sitting near you and talking to you personally. If you are a writer, or you simply want something personal from Stephen King, I recommend reading this. And a few words about the edition. Yes, it's very small and it's a soft cover, and I don't like covers like this. But I have made so many memories with this edition, and even if I get myself a new one, this one shall remain. Now, the third book here is the very first Stephen King book that I bought, and that's Pet Sematary. I bought this when I was 16 years old in Moscow. The plot revolves around a family that moves to a new house. There's a pet cemetery near them, and all the animals that are buried there, sooner or later they come to life. To be honest, I don't remember that much from this book. I think I need to reread this, but I remember the second half and what happened to the youngest child. Also, there is a great song about Pet Sematary by the Ramones. I recommend checking that out. Even though Pet Sematary was the first Stephen King book I bought, I got to know Stephen King via film. I first watched Carrie, the old version, the 1976 version that was very good, and it managed to scare me and also to excite me. And I got myself the book. The cover is from the new version of Carrie, the 2013 version. So the story revolves around a girl who is bullied at school and abused at home by her religious mother. Soon the girl develops special powers. There's prom coming, and her classmates decide to bully her. The results are unpredictable. The story of how his novel came to be is very interesting. Stephen King hated this novel at first and he threw it into trash. But then his wife found the manuscript in the trash and forced her husband to finish the story. You don't forget the story of Carrie White that easily. It sticks with you. Now here comes my favorite, one of my favorite books ever. One of my favorites by Stephen King and favorite books ever. The Shining. Oh, here's the bookmark. I think most of you know The Shining via the Stanley Kubrick film. I'm gonna be honest, I hate the film very much. I don't like it. I didn't like it before I read the book, and I hated it really after I read the book. The book is about a family, mother, father and son, who move into a hotel due to a father's job and isolate themselves for a few months. The son, Danny, he has a few special powers. He literally shines, that's how it's said in the novel. The father, Jack, tries to write a play where he's isolating in the hotel, but the demons of the hotel are starting to taking over him. He also has an alcohol problem here. I bought this for my birthday back in 2015. Best birthday gift for myself ever. If you want to get into Stephen King, I recommend starting with The Shining or Carrie, because they are great gateway Stephen King novels. This one is my most recent purchase. I bought it when I was in Moscow, and that's The Long Walk. This edition also has The Running Man. The Long Walk is centered around 100 boys who are selected to walk, and walk. They are not supposed to rest for too much. They are not supposed to sleep. They have to do everything while they're walking. They are allowed to have 3 warnings. The first warning is the final warning, and they get a ticket, and that means they are out of the game. It's kinda like the Hunger Games. I haven't read the Hunger Games, to be honest. I just know the plot, and I have seen the first film in the theaters. At first it seems to be slow, but that's kinda part of the charm. I already made a video where I talk about The Long Walk. The Running Man I still haven't read, and I'm not planning to yet. Oh, with this book I have a very interesting story. In 2016 I had a week of exams. I was supposed to study, but you know what I did instead? Or at least before I studied? Every day I went to the local bookstore, took this book, and read at least 100 pages a day. Needful Things. There was a bookstore in my area where you could simply take any book and read it. I think that's a normal practice these days. This book is centered around a guy named Leland Gold and his shop named Needful Things. He is ready to offer his customers everything they want, but in exchange he wants them to pull a prank on others. The pranks turn the town into a big mess. There is also a film adaptation from the 90s, but it's not as great as the book. Still a good adaptation, but not as good as the book. But I have to spoil the ending. It's not that great. It's terrible. I hated the ending. The book is amazing. I loved Needful Things very much. I love how this book exposes the dark side of many characters and how these characters allow their dark side to take over them. Next comes the book that I didn't finish. Probably that's because I knew one spoiler and I didn't like that spoiler and didn't want to read it, and that's Cujo. This edition also has a story named The Cycle of the Werewolf, but I haven't read it. Cujo is centered around a dog that goes crazy, and when there is a car with mother and son inside, the dog haunts them. The mother and son are stuck in the car while the dog is terrorizing them. Oh, here's the bookmark, which is actually a visit card. I have around how many pages left? Around less than 30 pages left to finish Cujo, but I still haven't finished it. Next comes one of the most famous Stephen King novels. Everyone knows it. Probably you have seen the adaptations, both of them, one from the 90s and the other from 5 years ago. It's very big and I haven't finished this book. I think everybody here knows the plot because this book is so famous. The novel is centered around 7 kids who are bullied at school or abused at home or something else turns them into outcasts. All 7 of them are haunted by mysterious it, and also known as Pennywise the Clown. The kids are fighting the it back when they are kids, and they are fighting it when they are adults, 27 years later. What I absolutely love about the story of it is that the outcasts come together And they aren't simply 2 or 3 outcasts like in other novels, there are 7 outcasts. When I got this myself back in 2016, I read approximately 400 something pages and then stopped. I hope I finish this book one day, because after reading the Stormlight Archive, I'm not afraid of big books anymore. Back then, in 2016, I could not read big books. Now I can. Next story is, I heard that the film about this book came out recently, but I haven't seen it. Lizzie's story. The story is centered around a woman whose husband passed away. Her husband was a writer, but she didn't know how he lived and where he got his ideas from. The first half of the book felt kinda boring, but the second half gets more exciting. That's all I can say about Lizzie's story. The concept of the book was interesting, but I expected much more. Next comes The Dead Zone. I absolutely loved it when I read it, and I'd love to read it again. The story centers around a guy named Johnny who got himself a special powers after he gets into a car crash. And then suddenly he sees in a vision that the politician that tries to get elected is corrupt. That he can drive millions of people into misery, and Johnny tries to prevent him from getting elected. Great novel. It has a very surprising twists. It's one of the best Stephen King novels. Oh, and the sticker over here says that The Dead Zone was the very first Stephen King novel published in Russia. Oh, and the cover is very beautiful. Next comes a collection of short stories named Full Dark, No Stars. This consists of 4 stories. First one is about a man who murdered his wife for the land. The second one is about a woman who tries to have rape revenge, because a guy raped her and he tries to have revenge. The third story is about a guy who deals with the devil. And the first story is about a woman whose husband turned out to be a serial killer. The cover is very nice. I liked it a lot. Next comes one of my favorites and one of the most underrated books, not only from Stephen King, but in general. Joyland. Joyland is about a student named Devin Jones who starts a summer job at Joyland. It's a theme park. And then he tries to investigate a murder of a girl named Linda Gray. I got this book back in 2015. And one of the reasons this is one of my favorite books, because this is one of those books I read during university, and when I look at it, I remember fine times at university. Also, it's one of the lightest Stephen King novels. There are no big horrors here. This is a light crime novel. I know that many people aren't fans of Joyland, but I love it very much. Oh, and just look how beautiful the cover is. I'm not a fan of the original cover, this one is so much better. And the last Stephen King novel I actually read online, but then got myself a copy just in the save for collection. Revival. This is one of his newest novels. It came out around 2015. The story is centered around a rock star who is connected to the priest, and the priest knows the secret of electricity, and there's some kind of magic connected to electricity. I haven't reread the novel, but I'm going to keep this one for just for the collection, and look how the nice cover is. Maybe one day I actually will reread this. Joyland I definitely will reread. I love the story itself and the memories I have with it. Also, honorable mention goes to The Dark Tower that I don't own anymore. Alright, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. What Stephen King books do you own? Please let me know down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment, and follow me on social media, link is down below. And don't forget to check out my debut novel. Link is in Linktree. See you next time. Goodbye.